Hello everyone, this is a video presented by Megher Nishit on the topic constructors in Java, and we are the part of the institution NMIMS Shirpur campus, and our branch is CSEDS.
Hello everyone. So today we are going to present on the topic constructors in Java. Constructor in Java is a as a important concept in object-oriented programming. Constructors are used when we create an object in Java. They help us to initialize those objects with an appropriate value. So in this presentation, I'll explain you how constructors work, why they are important, and the different types of constructors used in Java. So let's start. So now we start with the introduction. So what is the definition of constructor? A constructor is a special method in Java that is used to initialize objects. Whenever an object of a class is created, the constructor is automatically called. So whenever you create a class or an object in a class, constructor is automatically created in it. Unlike normal methods, constructors have same name as the class and they do not have any return type. So like I'll explain you with an example here. Class student. Here the student object is created and the constructor runs automatically and prints the message constructor called, which is system.out.println constructor called. This shows how constructor executes during an object creation. Next we have purpose of constructor. Purpose of constructor, now it helps us to understand why an constructor is used. So constructors helps us to initialize an object variable when an object is created. Without the constructor, we would have to assign a values manually, and you know how hectic it is. So and constructor is used, which makes the code easier and it maintains it in a appropriate manner. For example, here student one, new student. This shows that an object S1 is created using new student, and then constructor runs automatically and initializes the object. This ensures that an object starts in a valid and a stable state, stable and a usable state. Next we have characteristics of constructor. So constructors have several important characteristics. Few are like, first, the name of the constructor must always be the same as that of class. Then second, that is constructor do not have any return type, not even void. Another important feature of constructor is it is called automatically when an object is created. A constructor can also accept parameters, allowing us to initialize variable in a specific value. Finally, a class can have multiple constructor, which allows different ways to create a new object. So you know how multiple constructors are created. A type of Now we'll talk about the types of constructors in Java. Now Java supports several types of constructor. The main types include default constructor, no argument constructor, parameterized constructor, copy constructor, which is a conceptual implementation in Java. Each of these constructors serves different purpose depending upon how an object is need to be initialized. So now we'll start with the types of constructor with examples. Now the first is default constructor. So a default constructor is automatically provides the Java compiler when no constructor is defined in the class. This constructor initializes instance variable and default values. For example, in integers is initialized by 0, boolean values by false, object interference initialized by null. In the example given below, here we have the class car, and here it's not defined any constructor. Therefore, the compiler automatically creates a default constructor when an object C1 is created. The speed variable is printed as 0, which is the default value. Now we have no argument constructor. A no argument constructor is a constructor that does not take a parameter, unlike default constructor. It is written explicitly for the programmers, like by the programmers. It is used to initialize variables with default values that define that is defined by the programmer. Here, the constructor sets speed of car as 100 when an object is created. Therefore, whenever an object is created using a constructor, this constructor will always start with a speed 100.
Parameterized constructor. A constructor that accepts parameters is called a parameterized constructor. This is used to initialize objects with specific values. Third, it provides flexibility while creating objects. And here's the example of the parameterized constructor. We have a student name as class, string name, int. This is other global variables. The string and int we see here, over here are the global variables. Basically, they are initialized before the main program function. The student over here is the student parameterized constructor with string and int a. Name equal to, and the value of name is stored in a, and the value of age is stored in a. And for object creation, we have, since the constructors automatically create objects, we have created an object with student S1 equal to new student, whatever the name and age there you can write. Constructor overloading. Constructor overloading means having basically multiple constructors in the same class, but each constructor must have different parameters. And in that way, it allows different ways to create objects. As you can see here, in this example program, we have a global variable with int length width. And what are the variables over here? In the first default constructor, first one is the default constructor, that is the length equal to 1, width equal to 1. We have set length and width equal to 1. But here comes the but part. Below that we have that the overloading. That is a different type of constructor. That is the parameterized constructor. Int L and W. Length equal to L, width equal to W. Basically, the value of length is stored in L, value of width is stored in W. Constructor chaining using this. Constructor chaining allows one constructor to call another constructor in the same class. We can see over here in this program. The student function, student, global variable name, under string, and global variable end as age. This is set to unknown. That helps to avoid code duplication and is done using this keyword. We can see over here that this sort name, that is this name variable specifies this one. Let's say it specifies this one, not the other one, because both are the same data type and the same name. Now here are the differences between constructor and a method, because we all know overloading occurs in both of them. Constructor and method overloading. Name same as class, method as set as any name. Return type, no return type, method must have return type. Purpose, initialize object, method perform operations. Invocation, called automatically, these are called manually. Real life example. Now here we are at the best part. That is a real life example of these differences. String name, double balance. These are the global variables you all know. Now comes the part, the parameterized constructor part. This is bank account, string and double B. These are the parameterized functions. Name equal and balance equal to B. You can see over here. The value of name is stored in N, value of balance is stored in B. And last but not the least, These have been automatic initial system of objects. Second, improves code organization. Supports constructor overloading. Third, makes programs easier to understand and ensures so objects start with valid values. Now to do the second point, second and fourth point, these are interconnected. Let me explain how. Suppose you ask to present and your interviewer in a job interview, your code. So what you're gonna do is you have to organize your code properly using the constructors, which makes the programs easier to understand. That's it. Now we come to the final part. That is the conclusion. Conclusion number one. Constructors are an essential part of Java programming. Second, they help initialize objects automatically. Third, supports multiple types of constructors. That is Java does it. Oh, the Java overload. Constructor overloading increases flexibility in object creation. Further understanding constructors is important for mastering object-oriented programming in Java. Thank you. That's it for all today.